So in the last class, we have discussed two paradigms. One is a process-oriented, and the second one was object-oriented. So with respect to object-oriented, we have discussed a few important concepts. So first one, we said what is called as abstraction, and we called these four things as the pillars of object-oriented programming, right? So abstraction in the sense hiding the implementation part. I gave you a suitable example of what exactly is abstraction. Then we have discussed three OOP principles. One was encapsulation. So encapsulation in the sense uh, keeping in contact. That means giving a protection for the data within the code. That is nothing but encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but giving a protection. Okay, so then we have discussed something called as the inheritance, and we said that inheritance is nothing but inheriting the
Sir,
properties of one object.
sir,
Inheriting, yeah.
sir, can you speak? Sorry, can you speak a little loud?
Okay, sure. Now is it okay?
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. Right. So we were discussing something called as a abstraction, and we said that abstraction is nothing but hiding a implementation part. And then we have discussed something called as encapsulation. We said that encapsulation is nothing but giving a protection, right? So giving a protection for whom? We are giving a protection for the data within the code, right? So that is called as encapsulation. Then we have discussed what is called as inheritance, and we have said that if one object, if you want to inherit the properties of one object to another object, then you will be utilizing what is called as inheritance, right? And the last one was polymorphism, and we have said that poly means many, morphism means forms, many forms. Polymorphism in the sense many forms, right? So we have given example of a function overloading, saying that one function will have a same name but different argument list. So we have quoted that one as an example of a polymorphism, many forms. That means if I give you a simple example means simple so means a single person will be having a one or a two nicknames, right? So all those nicknames will refer to that particular person itself, right? So intention of a creating those nicknames is to identify that particular person uniquely, right? So polymorphism also plays in the same fashion, where you are giving a provision, so means the same name has been shared with respect to a different logic, right? You might have given a function name as a sum, so the same sum can be used for a addition of a floating point values. The same sum can be used for addition of a double values. The same sum can be used for addition of a just integers, right? Polymorphism, that means poly forms, that means many forms, right? So implementation logic is the same, that is a sum, but you are performing a different summation. That means sometimes you might be performing a integer addition, sometimes you might be performing a fraction addition. So you are achieving a different forms with respect to one particular logic, right? So these are considered as the four pillars of object oriented programming. So once again I'm telling you, because these are the important concepts with respect to OOPS. The first pillar of a OOP is abstraction. Abstraction means hiding. Second pillar is encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but giving a protection for the data within the code. Encapsulation. Third one is inheritance. One object acquiring the properties of another object is nothing but an inheritance. And the fourth one is the polymorphism. Polymorphism in the sense poly means many, morphism means forms, right? Many forms. If you want to implement a logic in a many forms with the same name given, then you will be going with the polymorphism, right? So these are the things which we have discussed in the last class. Along with this, in the last class we have given a differentiation between what is a procedure oriented and what is object oriented. We gave a small table which was showing a difference between what is a procedure oriented and what was object oriented. right? So this we have discussed in the last class. At the end of a last class, I have kept this particular slide in front of you, and just gave a example. This is left side, whatever you will be seeing is a C program, and the right side you have a Java program similar to that particular C program. This is what we have discussed in a previous class, right? So with respect to a Java, actually I have to discuss a few more theoretical concepts, but I felt like instead of just giving you a theory part, if I tell you few concepts, or if I just introduce you a simple program by some means, so that you will practice meanwhile when I am explaining a theoretical part, right? So today we will take some example, that means a practical example, how exactly you are going to write a Java program. I'll demonstrate that particular part to you. You can install the JDK, you can configure a JDK, you can work on some basic examples, right? So from the next classes, I have some theory portion need to be finished. So meanwhile, while I finish that particular theory part, you can put your hands on that particular programming part, right? Shall we see a simple basic Java program, how to execute a Java program? Okay, so shall we proceed with basic Java program? One second. Notepad is visible, right? Okay. For a Java program to execute, first you need to have something called as a JDK installed, right? You have to install what is called as a JDK, right? So what is the abbreviation of a JDK? Right? So this JDK need to be installed. So you can get this one from a official Java website. If you just type in a Google saying JDK new version download, so it will take you to a Oracle page, Oracle home page. There you can select whichever version of a JDK you want to work with. All right. So in the last class I told you latest version of a JDK which I have installed and which is available in the market is a 1.8. Okay, so you can go to a Google, you can just type a JDK version 1.8, a free download. It will navigate you to a official Oracle website. From there you can download JDK 1.8, right? So once you have installed a JDK, it will be installed at some site, so means some location in your system. So usually it will be something like C colon followed by program files / Java / JDK. So this is a general path where your JDK will be installed. If you want to change this particular path while installing, you can do that one also. But you have to remember where exactly you have installed your JDK, right? So once you have installed this particular JDK in that particular any path, you have to copy this particular path, right? So you have to paste this one in a you have to copy this particular path wherever you have installed a JDK, and you need to paste that one in an environment variable. So in a system you will be having something called as environment variable. You have to go to environment variables. There you will be having a variable called path, right? So for this particular variable called a path, okay, you need to specify wherever is the path of that particular JDK. Okay, if you are not able to understand whatever the things I have told, I am telling you, I have a video. Still people
ఏం
are
చూస్తున్నా
joining.
ఫోన్ అయితే ఇదేంది ఆయన ఓపెన్ చేసింది
Right, so I'll be sharing this particular link to you. So this particular video will explain you like a way to install your JDK and how to configure that particular JDK with respect to a environment variable, right? So how to identify environment variable? Go to a control panel. You will be having a advanced system settings. Advanced system settings. If you click on advanced system settings, you will be getting an option called as environment variables, right? So you just need to open that particular environment variable. You will be having some variable which is called as a path, right? So there is a variable called a path. You just need to double click this one or click on this and then click on edit. Okay, so once you go to that particular path, it will ask for a value. So at the part of a value, you just need to paste wherever you have downloaded your JDK. Right? Right, so this will be a folder. This is how the folder looks like once you install your JDK. So you will be having this many folders. You just need to click on a bin part. I'll be sharing this particular video which will be having a clear instructions of how to configure your JDK, right? So once you have to copy that particular path, copy, go to environment variables part. At the part of a variable value, you need to paste that one. There will be a few entries already. You just need to put a semicolon, then put your path, whichever path you have you want to put with respect to a Java, that you have to paste it explicitly, right? So don't worry about a JRE. So just JDK is enough. Right, so this particular video I'll share you, it will be having a clear instructions of how to configure your JDK. Right, I was explaining this particular notepad content. Whatever the things I have said is, first you need to download a JDK version 1.8, install that particular JDK version 1.8. After installation, you have to set environment variable. There is an environment variable called a path. Wherever is the installation of a JDK, that particular path need to be given for a environment variable, path variable, right? How this particular setting has been done, I'll be sharing a video with respect to that, right? So whatever video I have shown you now, so I'll be sharing a link of that one so that you can configure your JDK with respect to a command prompt, or that is a way how you will be configuring your JDK. Sure, shall we proceed further?
Yes, sir.
Okay, once you have a JDK installed, you need to just cross check 1 second. I'll share a screen. Huh. Once your JDK has been installed, I just wanted to cross check whether a JDK has been configured properly or not, right? I told you to set all those environment variable paths and all those things, right? Just to cross check whether environment variable has been set properly, whether JDK is running properly or not, right? You can just open your command prompt. You know command prompt, right? You just go to a start, type a cmd, it will open a command prompt for you. So in a command prompt, you just type a java followed by hyphen, give a space, hyphen version, right? What I'm doing is I'm just checking what version of a java is running in my system, right? If it is able to show me the version, means it is installed properly. Okay, I'm just cross checking whether a java has been installed or not, right? So if I enter here, okay, so it is showing me a version saying that you are working with a version 1.8.0 underscore 191, right? So this says that I am able to configure my JDK properly with respect to command prompt. That means now I can execute my Java programs, right? So this is a first step which you have to do before you start typing a Java programs. Okay, so first thing is you have to make sure that whether a JDK has been installed properly or not, right? So similar to C programs, you were installing some code blocks kind of a stuff, right? So after installing the code blocks also, few people were getting a mistakes that linker was not configured properly, compiler was not configured properly, all those things, right? So all those settings is nothing but whatever I have told till now. Okay, you have to go to official Oracle site for a JDK, download a JDK, install a JDK, configure that one using environment variables. Everything will be there in your video link whichever I'll be sharing. Right, so once it has been installed properly, you have to cross check that particular installation by just typing a java hyphen version. If it is showing you a version, then a JDK has been installed properly. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Shall we write a simple Java
Yes,
program?
sir.
Right,
Yes, sir.
we'll do I'll create a one folder on my desktop. I think my desktop may not be visible, just bear a minute. Right, I have not done anything. I just created one folder on my desktop. So this is that particular folder. So in this folder, let me right click new text document. I already told you I'll be comfortable in writing a programs in a notepad first, then we will use some IDEs. Okay, so the program which I wanted to use right is with respect to printing a hello. So I will just type hello.java. This is a file name here. Okay, right. Just let me increase the font size so that it will be visible. Right, before we start writing I think this particular WordPad is visible for everyone. Huh. Before I start writing a program for a Java, so we will just have a comparison how exactly the C program has been written and how that particular thing has been modified with respect to a Java. That means in which way the same C program can be written in a Java, right? Say for example, from using a C program, if I want to print a hello world onto a screen, I'll be writing this set of instructions. Hope everybody knows what exactly the each line of this particular C program does. Right? This is C program. Right? I want to achieve a same kind of a thing with respect to Java now. Right? So for this particular main, can we add a void main? Yes, we can add a void main, no problem. Syntax doesn't make any, it means this particular void doesn't make any difference now. Right. Now, so how to write a Java program similar to this particular program, right? So first let me write whichever thing which is common first, right? Whenever you say program, there should be a main. So I am writing a void main here also. The upper part, whichever you are seeing is a C program, I am trying to write a equivalent Java program with respect to this particular C program. Right? This is the common part. There also void main is there. Here also I have written a void main. Let us check what are the changes has to be done. But this is a simple void main. Right. So within a void main, what is the statement that we have written? We have written a printf hello world. That intention of that statement is to print that content onto that particular black screen, right? That is our expected output. So here in a Java, instead of writing a printf, you will be using some class which is called as system dot out dot println. Println says print line.
Sir,
Huh.
please can you increase the font size?
Okay. Clear? Whether font size is clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, true.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. Again, I'm telling you the upper part, whichever I have written is a C program. I'm just comparing this particular C program with respect to Java, right? So in a C, you are writing a printf for printing some statement. So here I am telling that you are not just writing a printf, rather you are going to write system.out.println. Println stands for print line. That means whatever content you will be enclosing in a double quotes now, that will be written in a one line. Hello world. Right? So you can relate both the programs now, right? So same void main is there. I have not written hash include statement here. So instead of hash include, what you will be writing, we will see later. So for a time being, you just concentrate on you have a void main here. Here also I have a void main. Instead of writing a printf, I wrote something called as a system.out.println. What does this statement says is, with respect to a system, that means wherever you are printing information, dot out, that means a system is a class. From the system class, you take as a out functionality. What you need to out, whatever is there with respect to println, right? That has to be written as an output. If you are reading a input, then it will be a system.in. I'm not reading an input. I'm putting some information onto the screen. I'm performing an output operation. So I have written a system.out, right? System.out in the sense output some information onto the screen. System.out println, whichever information you wanted to print onto the screen, that particular information. Right? Hope till this part it is clear. What extra thing you have to do with respect to a Java is, Java's main will not be a empty main similar to a C language. It will be it will be expecting the arguments in the sense, it will be thinking that after compiling a program, user might be entering some information which has to be read from the program, right? What I'm saying is, Java program will be thinking that once the user executes a program, during the execution itself, he might be entering a few values, right? So whatever the values that a person is going to enter, that will be stored in one array, right? So Java program will expect string array of arguments, right? So what does it says is, if a user is entering any argument when he is executing a program, those arguments will be taken in this particular array. If he is not entering anything, no problem, but this is the syntax of a Java. It will be expecting that user might be entering some values, right? I'm writing a program step by step just to relate you with how you wrote a C program and what are the changes with respect to a Java has to be done, right? You wrote a void main with respect to C, same void main has been written. Previously, you were not passing any argument. If you have anybody of you, if you have worked with the command line arguments with respect to C, then you might have a clear idea of why I have written a string of args. If you don't remember command line arguments in a C language, just concentrate on this particular part. What this is saying is, when you execute your program, during the execution, that means when you run your program, during the running of that particular program, if a user is entering any values, those values will be saved in this particular array. This we will call it as command line arguments, right? For a time being, if this particular part is confusing, don't worry. Just keep in mind that if you are writing a normal C language, there is no requirement of a passing argument here. But if you are working with a Java, for the main, there is a necessity that you have to pass a string array here, right?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Sorry to interrupt.
it's okay, no problem.
So few of them logged out of the meeting due to network issues. So can you please let them in?
Yeah, sure. Whoever is a participant, whoever is trying to, yeah, okay, I allowed them. Sure. So clear with the comparison till this part?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Shall I proceed? So means till now I have not completed my Java program. I'm just writing step-by-step portions.
Sir,
Right?
is there no any library file as C that included in Java?
That only I'll tell you. So then I'll proceed. That library file we will talk about. I have not yet finished my Java program. I'm just explaining a step by step. Right? So there are a few things to be added for this particular main method. The first part, what you need to add is, see, in the starting class, we have said that your C program allows anybody to execute his program. That means here you are not writing any permission saying that the compiler need to execute this particular set of statements or not. We said that there is no proper protection for the code, right? So in a Java, what has been done is, this is a main function, right? Whatever enclosing brackets are there. So this particular part is nothing but your main function, right? This particular main function will be executed by JVM. That means that there will be a one compiler of a Java. So that particular Java compiler will be executing this particular method, right? What a Java treats is, that particular compiler is a third person. That means this particular program is not going to trust that particular person, whoever is executing a program. What it says is, you give me some permission so that I can access your code, right? What I mean to say is, now I have to allow the Java compiler to work on my set of instructions, whatever I have written here, right? So to give that particular permission, that means to allow your compiler to work on this set of instructions, I need to include a one keyword which is called as public, right? What I'm doing is I am making my main method public. Public in the sense, anybody who want to access this particular method can access that particular method now, as I have made it as a public, right? See, what are the changes you are seeing with respect to a normal C program and a Java? Normal C, it was just a void main. This one, now it is public void main, right? Along with the argument of a string args. That means there is something called as a string array, right? Right. Anything else need to be added for this particular function to work? Yes, you have to add one more keyword for this. That keyword is nothing but static. For a time being, don't worry about why we have written a static. I'll explain you after a few classes, but for a time being, you just keep in mind that if you want to write a main function in a Java, it will be a public static void main followed by string arguments array, right? So within this particular method, whatever statements you will be writing, that will be a part of a function, right? So we are left with one small change need to be done. What a Java says is you can write any instructions which are not a part of a class. That means whatever you write, that should be the part of some class, right? What I will do is I will create one class which is called as hello, open a bracket. So everything has been enclosed in this particular hello, right? So I will remove whatever a C program has been written. So now this is your Java program for printing a hello world, right? So what are the things we have written? We have created one class called a hello, because in a Java you cannot write any instructions which is not a part of some class, right? All the instructions should be a part of a class, right? So in the last class I told you, if you are considering any student in a campus, that particular student should belong to some class, right? So the same kind of a security given here also, right? If you want to write any method, if you want to create any variables, if you want to define any methods, if you want to create any objects, all this, everything has to be a part of some class itself. There should not be any instruction which has been written outside a class, right? If I just take out this particular set of instructions, I have a outer class written, class hello. So within this particular class hello, I have written a main method. So main method is having a statement called a hello world, right? Shall we check, run the program and cross check whether it is going to print a hello world or not, right? How to check a program, how to run this particular Java file? You have to go to a command prompt, where we have created our folder. We have created our folder on a desktop. Navigated to a desktop. On my desktop, I have a folder called a Java. Yes, navigated to a folder called a Java. CD stands for a change directory. I'm changing my directory to a desktop first. On my desktop, I have something called a folder called a Java. So within a folder called a Java, I have a file called a hello.java. That was my file name, right? If I want to compile my program, I need to use a command called a Java C, stands for a Java compiler. I want to compile my file, right? So what was the file name? Hello.java. This was my file name. Be clear with each and every statement what I'll be saying. You need to ask plenty of questions. If you are not asking plenty of questions, then I'll be asking very few questions. Okay, so what are the things I have done? I have typed a program. After typing a program, I have moved to a command prompt. So in a command prompt, I am navigating to a place where I have saved my file. I have saved my file on a desktop. I have created a folder called a Java. In that particular Java, I have a file called a hello.java. So just writing a CD desktop, CD Java. So once I am in a folder called a Java, I'm just compiling this one. Java C stands for a Java compiler. Java compiler hello.java. In this case, if I have any errors done, if I'm missing any semicolon, if I'm missing any comma, if I'm doing any syntactical error with respect to file, all those errors will be displayed here if I have done any mistake, right? If no mistakes are there, then it will compile a file for you. It has not shown any errors, so I have not done any syntactical mistakes. Now the compilation has been done properly without any errors. Once I want to run a program, means I need to type a Java followed by class name. No need to type a file name. I am typing just a class name. What was the class name that you have given? Class name was a class hello, right? So this particular class name I am typing, that gives me the output as hello world. Clear? In case if I have done any mistakes, say for example, intentionally I will remove this particular semicolon. I don't have a semicolon in my file right now. So I will try to compile my program. See, it is showing hello.java is the file. In a line number 4, there is an error. Semicolon is expected. System.out.println hello world. Here at this particular place, you have not written a semicolon. So that is one error. Right? If I just rectify that particular error, whenever you do some changes to your file, make sure that, see, I have removed this particular semicolon before, so it was showing me error. Now I have added that particular semicolon. So once you do any changes, save the file. So once it has been saved well, then you can compile and cross check. Working fine. Hello world. Shall I summarize whatever the things we have done till now?
Yes, sir.
One doubt.
Yeah.
Yes,
Doubt with respect to a program or with respect to execution part?
with respect to the program, sir.
Yes.
When we in C program, when we used to write the header file system dot and when we used to print anything in our program, it never used to give an error because we used to add the header file. But
Yes.
then in here, we're not adding any header file or anything, and then we are printing it also. So
Hmm.
how is that? I mean, is
See,
this
yeah. I understood your statement, whatever you are supposed to convey me. See, in a C language, what we were doing is we were writing a printf directly, right? But here, what we have done is we have explicitly told where exactly we have this particular println statement. We have said that go to a system, go to a out, go to a from a system out. You have a something called as a println. From there you perform this particular operation. That means you are explicitly telling where is the path of that particular printf statement. So what happens with respect to this particular Java means it will automatically takes the libraries whichever is required for compiling this particular program. No need to additionally include some libraries for this one. If you want to add, that means if you are feeling uncomfortable or if you are comfortable with including a libraries means you can just write import, right? Similar to a C program, the way how you write hash include. So in a Java you will be writing something called as a import, right? Import java dot, right? Language is a package. I would like to include that particular language dot star. This says that everything whatever is there with respect to lang package, I wanted to import everything. This is not mandatory because you are just using a system.out.println. It won't expect this statement to be written, right? I'll just add and just cross check compilation whether it will work fine or not. Since every time I have to share the screens if I switch the screen. Java C hello.java, no errors, right? Java, right? It doesn't make any difference. If you want to include some that particular lang package you want to include, if you don't want to include also, no problem. It can implicitly it can take that this particular statement by itself,
okay? Thank you, sir.
right? Any other questions? For a time being, I'll just remove this particular statement so that it should not simply confuse you.
Sir,
Yeah.
please, would you mind to repeat about the string argument why you were?
Why I'm taking a string argument, right? What I said is it might be thinking, Java program might be thinking that user might be interested in passing some values during the compilation, right? So what does it mean? What does during the compilation in the sense? Compilation in the sense, I'll show you that particular screen of a command prompt, right? So here I am compiling hello.java, right? So this is a place where I'm compiling my file. During a compilation, I wanted to give some values, right? I wanted to give something like this, hello. This I am doing during a compilation. I hope you are able to understand now, right? Java C, one second. Okay. Java, hello, right. Now what I mean to say is this particular high, I think screen is visible for you, right? This particular high is the argument that I am passing. That means that is a value which I am passing when I am executing my program. Now where this particular high will be stored, this particular high will be stored in your string arguments, this particular array. right? This is the command line arguments. Command line argument in the sense, while executing my program in that particular line itself, if I want to give arguments, those arguments can be given, right? Now I have given it something like a Java followed by Java hello followed by hi. I'm showing that screen. See, I wrote Java followed by hello followed by hi. Here, Java followed by hello is the class name. Java is a command to execute my program. Hello is the class name, right? Along with these two, I wrote a hi also, right? So now where this particular hi will be stored, that particular hi will be stored in a string args, right? Whether I am printing that one, not yet printed. Can I print that one? Yes, you can print that one. How to print that? System dot out dot println. What I wanted to print? I wanted to print args of 0. 0 in the sense whichever is the 0th argument you have taken, that particular argument, right? So let me just, whether you have seen whatever changes I have done. I have added this statement. What I said is hi will be stored in this particular array. So I'm just printing a content of this particular array. I'm not writing a for loop. I'm just printing whatever is the content at a location 0. Right? So now if I run my program, it has to print that particular hi also. Java C compiling hello.java, right? Working fine, no errors. Java hello. I need to pass some argument. Whatever value of argument I want to pass, I can pass. I will just write something called as IoT, right? So now IoT is the first argument for me, right? So it is printing IoT. Along with that, it is printing a hello world. Right? So what I said is command line arguments, right? So this is a command where you are executing your program. Within this command line, if you want to pass some values, you can pass those values. That is a command line argument. Generally, you will not be passing a command line arguments and executing a program, but I'm telling you that is how that particular string of arguments will be used for.
Sir, why do you put 0 in the argument?
See, this one is the array, right? Args of this particular part is array.
Yeah.
Generally, you will be writing int followed by array name followed by brace, right? What I mean to say is, generally you will be writing array something like this. Int a of sum 6 is this array.
Yes.
Right? What I have done is, I'm not using a int, but I am using a data type called a string, right? The name I gave is a string args. I don't know what amount of a size I need to give for this particular array, so just kept it as a blank. Now what I'm saying is, whatever is a command line argument entered by the user, that will be stored in this particular array.
Okay.
Right? When a first argument has been entered, so that will be stored at a location 0. So I'm just printing whatever is the content at a location 0. If you are putting more values, means again you need to write a for loop, repeat that particular variable within a for loop so that it will print all the values.
Okay.
Right? So for a time being, don't go much in detail with respect to that particular string arguments. Just keep in mind that that is a one array which has a capacity to hold the values which has been entered in a command line itself.
Okay.
Right? When you are executing a program in a command line, if you want to pass any values to the program, so those values can be sent and those things will be stored in a ARGS.
Okay. Thank you.
Right? So quickly, I will revise whatever the program we have written. If you don't have a doubts, then we will proceed further, right? So the first important point what I have said is every instruction with respect to a Java should be a part of a class. It cannot be outside a class. So you have written every statement inside a class with some name, right? All other instructions are just a part of this particular class, right? So within this particular class, I just wanted to write some main method. So how I wrote a main method? I wrote just a main followed by string args, because it is the structure specified with respect to a Java, right? It cannot be just a main method. It should be a publicly available to a JVM. So you are going to write it as a public. Then you are going to write it as a static. I told that I'll be explaining you why it has been written as a static in the next classes. So inside of this particular main, I just wanted to print some statement. So I wrote a system dot out dot println. This is the statement which I wanted to print. Hello world, finish. Right? So this was my main program. Once again, I'm just cross-checking whether I have done any syntax errors. Java C hello dot Java, no errors. Java hello, it's printing hello world. No doubts with respect to program?
Hello, sir. Can you repeat
Yeah.
again by step?
Which step?
All of the step.
Execution or a program?
And this is step. This of typing of this writing.
Program you want me to write once again?
Yes. Yes.
Huh. Shall I erase everything and write once again?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Class, I said everything should be a part of a class. So I am creating some class. You can give any name for the class, right? Within this class, I need to have a main method. So I'm writing public static void main string args. This is my main method, right? So this brace is with respect to a class closing. This brace is with respect to a main method closing, right? So within this particular main method, I'm writing system dot spelling mistake, system dot out dot println hello. I just wanted to print hello, not a hello world. That's it. I'll just save this particular file. Go to a command prompt. Make sure that the path where you are working is the place where you have kept the file. I'm just writing a Java C. I want to compile. I'll be giving a file name .java. I said when you are compiling, file name .java. No errors. Java class name, enter. Got the same thing whatever has been written in the file?
Yes, sir.
I
Thank
have
you.
written a just hello. The same thing has been reflected with respect to a command prompt, right? There is a one important observation which you have to do, because I have not shown you that particular observation. What observation you have to keep in mind is, now I'll just open the folder where I have kept this particular file, right? So this is my Java folder. So within that, I have a hello.java. So this is a text file where you have written a code. Once you compile, it is going to create a something called as hello.class. Right? Previously, it will be having just a Java file. Now, after a compilation, it will be creating a class file also for you. Is that clear? Understood the basic execution of your Java file?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We'll do one thing. I'll be sharing you the video link of how to configure a JDK. First, configure a JDK. I will also share the recording of this particular class. Right? Go through the instructions, whatever I have said. Try to execute a program, whichever program I have typed. You try to execute that one and try to get the same output like however I have got the outputs. Right? If you are clear with these things, in the next class, I have so many number of questions need to be asked. Until and unless you are clear with these things, you will not even understand what questions I am going to discuss in the next class. Right? Clear with the things?
Yes,
I'll
sir.
be sharing you a video of how to configure an environment variable. Then I'll be sharing you a video for this particular class recording. Go through both the videos, try to write a program, just cross check whether hello world is printing for you. If you are comfortable, then in the next class, I'll be asking a n number of questions. If you are not comfortable with this part, before you come to a next class, you drop me a message asking whatever might be your issue. Right? So that's it from my side. Next class will be actually a very important class where we will be discussing so many questions based on this particular program only.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, are we going to use IntelliJ in this to use to do codings?
See, we can use Intel IG. We can use Eclipse also. But my intention is first you understand the basic working of a Java program. Once you are comfortable in writing a small program, then we will go with the IDE.
Okay.
The problem of directly going with the IDE is the IDE will give you a few instructions by itself. But in an exam, when you want to write a program, means you have to start from the class itself.
Okay.
Right? If you don't have a habit of start writing a program from the scratch, then obviously you will not write a program in an exam also from the scratch.
Okay, sir.
Right? So for a few classes, we will have a habit of writing a program in a notepad itself. Once we are comfortable with the notepad, once we know what exactly the basic working of a Java program, then we will use some IDEs.
Okay, sir.
Right?
Yes.
So that's it for today.